Hey everyone, welcome into Morning Invest on this Friday. I thought it was Friday. Holy smokes. Can you tell how long this week has been already? That debate really sucked the life out of me. It is Thursday, and it is October 1st. I think that's what threw me off. It's the 1st of October. So I was thinking, hey, this is the end of the week. It's the start of a new month or something. But no, it is Thursday, October 1st. We're going to deep dive what's going on with the stimulus. We've got an actual new stimulus discussion unfolding between the White House and Nancy Pelosi at this hour. And they're going to be back on the phone this morning trying to hammer out those details. So I am encouraged, folks. I have some positivity flowing through my body today about this stimulus. So we will deep dive the very latest on all of that with late breaking news on all of that. Grover is here, but he's barking at my wife. Can you sit down, please? It's showtime, man. Can you sit down in your bed? Please. We're also going to talk about what is going on in Europe at this hour, because there's a big lawsuit between the European Union and Britain, which could have ripple effects across the international trade in the United States. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about airline furloughs and who holds the true wealth in this country. Some new data out this morning that is going to blow your socks off. Yes, it will. But today's episode first, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Outlet Finance. So if you want a 6% savings account alternative, I'm telling you, better than what you're getting in the stock market, better than what you get with your Wells Fargo or your Chase Bank savings account. 6%. Yeah, 6% savings account. But you have to go to morninginvest.com/outlet to get free money deposited in your account. If you don't use that link, then you are not, my friends, going to get that extra money. You'll get 6% savings account, and it's backed by cryptocurrency. So people all the time ask me, Clayton, is this something you want to have right now? Do you want to have your money in a savings account? I said, absolutely not. Do I want my money in a, corrupt government banking system right now? Or would I rather have it in the people's currency? So Outlet Finance is backed by cryptocurrency, by Ethereum, which is an offshoot of Bitcoin. So you'll want to check that out. Go to morninginvest.com/outlet for more information on that. All right, let's dive into the 5 things that I think you need to know to start your day. And let's start with the European Union. European Union is suing Britain this morning over Brexit. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Thursday said that it had sent a letter of formal notice to the UK, basically telling Britain right now, hey, you better get your act together. You better get your act together on this trade deal. Otherwise, we're basically going to push you out. You're going to be trading as if you're any other nation in the world. That's going to that's going to cost people dearly, because the price of goods and services are going to rise significantly as a result of it. So this Brexit divorce has been a disaster. And I think the markets are paying attention to us. They gave until yesterday to get this thing ironed out. And now these legal proceedings are underway. The UK-EU relationship is on rocky ground. Why it matters? Because it's a sign of major breakdown. It's a total breakdown between all of those countries in the European Union and Britain. And it's a blow to the odds of the two sides actually coming together on a large trade deal. So if you're in England, better watch out, because the cost of things is about to go up significantly. And if you're in other parts of the world, it's going to have broad impact on the types of goods and things that we're able to get in the United States from Britain as well. A no deal, investors and trade experts are fearing that they're going to have a no deal Brexit on December 31st. My birthday, by the way. December 31st, my birthday. So if they don't get this done, there's going to be huge implications in the market. Could have broad implications in your retirement account across the board. But this is a big deal. Another big thing I think you need to pay attention to today, the airlines. The airlines are about to furlough tens of thousands of workers. They're about to, American Airlines, United Airlines is going to start to furlough about 32,000 employees on Thursday, today. They said, hey, if we didn't have a deal, we didn't have some sort of a stimulus package from Congress, we're going to furlough all these people. Now, the head of the airlines got on the phone yesterday with Secretary Mnuchin, and they said, look, if you guys can get a stimulus package together, We won't furlough all these people. We'll call them back to work. But there's no deal, which we'll get to in a minute. So both carriers said they are prepared to reverse course if a stimulus bill gets passed. They'll bring these people back. The terms of this $25 billion in federal payroll support that Congress passed for the sector back in March prohibited them from cutting any jobs until October 1st. Well, that money's gone, folks. And October 1st is here. Yeah, all of that money is gone. $25 billion is gone. They're bleeding millions of dollars every day, according to the latest data. Millions of dollars every day. The aid was meant to help them cope right now with sharp drop in bookings. But guess what? People aren't flying anywhere. Still. How many of you are planning to fly anytime soon? I mean, flights are canceled left and right. How many of you in the chat right now are planning to fly anytime soon? I'm not. I'm not. I was hoping to be able to do some kind of travel like Christmas time no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But they knew this was coming, folks. Congress knew this was coming. This is what gets me about all of this, is that Congress, the White House, get nervous about airline furloughs. But did they give a rat's ass about you? No. No, they don't. They don't give a rat's ass about you. They don't care that your small business has gone under. They don't care that you don't have a stimulus check. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is the big companies, the big airlines, that they've already poured $25 billion into. So this could actually move the needle. Like I said a few days ago, if Wall Street gets skittish, that's when we might actually see a stimulus package. So the fact that the head of the airlines was on the phone with Secretary Mnuchin last night, the Treasury Secretary, saying, look, get a stimulus through, please. We're dying here. Get a stimulus through so we can not have to furlough all these workers. President Trump is not going to be happy about tens of thousands of people losing their jobs again on his watch. But we knew this was coming. They had an interesting discussion about this. All the warning signs were there. This is not a surprise to anybody that this was going to happen.
Joe, you would think that there was enough urgency realizing that today was coming. I mean, this has been out there, and you can't blame the airline executives for not pressing their case in Washington. I mean, they've been there. We've talked with a number of them, as well as the union leadership. They've made it abundantly clear that this was coming. So, look, do I think that there's a possibility over the next couple of days? Sure, anything's possible, and that's good news for those 32,000 plus airline workers who are furloughed but may have that walked back, and then they would have their pay guaranteed through March. That's the agreement as part of the $25 billion, which, by the way, there's bipartisan support. This is not like there's one side saying, no, we're not going to do it. It's just a matter of coming together on a vehicle.
Yeah, there's bipartisan support to bail out big businesses. Now, a majority of these workers, with like 7,000 or 8,000 of them, a huge portion of them are flight attendants. But I just find it so ironic that they're willing to provide retroactive pay back to March for people in the airline industry. What about the rest of America who lost their jobs? Why are we picking winners? Why are we just picking winners in the airline industry? The Congress says this is okay. State and local governments, Nancy Pelosi hung them out to dry in the spring. She told Andrew Cuomo and other governors, hey, we'll get state and local government money in there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And in fact, she said, settle down. It'll be in the next bill. Yeah, if it's not, Nancy Pelosi, you've got a lot of answering to do. So airlines, yeah, you'll get bailout money and you'll get retroactive pay. Okay, what about other frontline workers? What about other people who've lost their jobs? I mean, why are we picking winners on this? It makes no sense to me. So keep our eyes on this, folks. I think that the reason we're even having these types of discussions right now on the stimulus is because of the airline industry and a number of other major industries that move the Wall Street needle who could be laying people off. That's why we could actually see a stimulus. The third thing I think you need to know about today, coronavirus vaccines. We're now in the trial, the test phase of all these, of the coronavirus vaccines. We're getting some interesting data out of this. You know, there are thousands of people right now, thousands of people that are being given both, or one or the other. They're being either given a trial from Pfizer or Moderna, or they're being given saline, and they don't know which, the control group, they don't know, right? They don't know what they're being given. Only the scientists know who's gotten what. Well, we're getting some bad news about these vaccines. People are waking up with high fevers, body aches, headaches, exhaustion. These are all symptoms that people are experiencing now from early stage trials of these vaccines. You want to sign up for that? How many of you would take one of these vaccines? No way. But a lot of people are saying, hey, you know what we're helping science by doing this. So God bless you. If you're doing one of these early trial phases right now, and you're one of those people that's putting your body as a guinea pig for this to help other people, great. Thank you. But I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all. Do you guys trust Big Pharma? The phase 3 trials are in a critical last step right now to get the vaccines cleared for distribution. The trials, which have tens of thousands of participants, and of course they have this double blind process going on. It could take, third phase could take years. An expert's saying there's no way we are going to have a vaccine by the end of this year at this rate. Can you imagine millions of people taking this vaccine and headaches and fever chills and God knows what other symptoms as a result? No, thank you. The fourth thing I think you need to know about today, hotels are trying to become schools. I thought this story was fascinating, and this is a sign of the times, folks. Here's an example. Well, here's what they're calling them, Schoolcations. And they're trying to basically lure parents who've just had it with this remote learning right now. They're just sick and tired of it. So there are a lot of hotels. In fact, like one that I used to stay at in New York all the time was this hotel. It's a Kimpton hotel. I remember I even recognized the carpet. I looked at the carpet and I'm like, wait a minute, is that the hotel I used to stay in all the time in Manhattan, the Muse Hotel, Kimpton? Because it's right near Times Square. And when I used to work at Fox, if there was like a snowstorm or something like that, they put me up there, so I'd have to drive back to Jersey if I had to anchor the news the next day. And so all of these hotels are doing like virtual learning centers now, where they're trying to teach kids basically how to, they're basically allowing the hotel is like allowing the teachers to work in the hotel. They're allowing teachers, staff members to basically lead classes. And so parents who are sick and tired of trying to do online learning at home can go to these hotels. Disney is doing this. A number of other hotel chains are doing this. They're setting up their conference rooms so that parents can basically get out of there and go to have their kids go down to the conference center and do online learning and have access to Wi-Fi, great Wi-Fi. They're setting up different school supplies, computers, and everything else. It's a great way for, hey, get out of your house, come stay with us at Disney for a week, spend a lot of your money. I mean, hotels are trying anything they can do right now to get people to come. And this is one way that it might actually work. Because we had a story in the newsletter today. I don't know how many of you saw it. You can sign up for our newsletter for free by going to morninginvest.com. It's totally free. And one of the stories we covered was about these roadcations and road schooling. So basically parents are buying up and renting RVs all over the country, and they're just taking their family and they're just going on the road. Guess the parents can work remotely and the kids can study school remotely. And so they're just driving all across the country with this remote learning instead of just staying at home. And finally, let's talk about the stimulus, the fifth thing that I think you need to know about today. So the stimulus bill has been delayed. There was to be a vote last night in the House of Representatives on that $2.2 trillion stimulus bill. That didn't happen last night. Well, because looks like talks are continuing. Now, you'll recall, folks, back a few weeks ago, I said, if we see this $2.2 trillion stimulus package come to the floor of the House and it's voted upon, that means that negotiations have failed and we're not getting a stimulus. Why? Well, because the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has already said if that $2 trillion bill, $2.2 trillion bill comes my way, I'm not voting for it. It's done. We're not even going to bring it to the floor of the Senate. So that is on hold. The $2 trillion version is on hold at this hour, which is, in my eyes, good news because we're now learning of an actual other White House proposal. The White House has now come forward and put together a proposal. We're getting some details. This is not finalized yet. But Secretary Mnuchin and the White House, Mark Meadows and President Trump, are basically floating a $1.62 trillion package. So less than the 2.2, more than the 1.5, right around $1.62 trillion. So folks, there's hope. There is hope. And it looks like we're getting closer and closer and closer by the hour to a stimulus plan. So let me go through what's in this latest stimulus package. Now, again, this is not finalized. And Roll Call, which is a Washington, D.C. publication, they've been around for years. And I've been reading Roll Call for many years. Makes me feel so old. I used to read them I think 20 years ago. Anyway, they are reporting that there will be direct payments of $1,200 for adults and only $500 for dependents. So not quite the $1,200 that House Democrats wanted back in their HEROES Act. It would be $250 billion for state and local governments, far less than the $1 trillion that Democrats wanted in their HEROES Act. But it's $100 billion more than what the White House previously wanted. So state and local governments would at least get $250 billion. That's good news. There would be $150 billion for education. Democrats wanted $225 billion. There would be $400 per week in unemployment insurance. $400, not $600, right? It's $100 more than what Senate Republicans wanted at $300. It's $200 less than what Democrats wanted at $600. So $400 is your compromise. There'd be $75 billion for COVID-19 testing and tracing. That actually meets what Democrats wanted. Republicans only wanted $16 billion because we're not in a pandemic. Republicans, I mean, come on, man. Seriously,
come on, man.
You know, Republicans, you're fine. You don't want money in there for testing and tracing because you know why? That doesn't line the pockets of your corporate donors, does it? $10 billion in here for the United States Postal Service. That's less than what Democrats wanted. So that's good news. At least the Postal Service will get something. There'll be $160 billion in here for Paycheck Protection Program. So another round of PPP for small businesses. That's good news. Nearly $120 billion for businesses like restaurants and entertainment venues. And $20 billion for farmers and ranchers. Now, it's not clear whether Senate Republicans would support this expensive proposal. So it all comes down to the Senate and Mitch McConnell. Will they support it? The idea is, though, that if the White House is driving this and Senate leader and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin is pushing this from the White House, the Senate Republicans better get on board. And President Trump could be at odds with Mitch McConnell on this. Mitch McConnell has said that if it's north of $2 trillion, we will not touch it. He recently called the $2.2 trillion an outlandish request. And he also dismissed the idea of getting any stimulus plan through Congress before November 3rd. He said that on Wednesday, Mitch McConnell did. So the source who outlined Mnuchin's proposal at Roll Call suggested that Mitch McConnell would support this new proposal. I feel like this is a leak from the White House. I've been around Washington long enough to know. This is a clear leak from the White House. Mark my words. It's time for a big fizzy water. How do I know it's a leak? It's a trial balloon. And it's a way of controlling the narrative. So by you floating this proposal from the White House, saying the things that you want in this and saying that Mitch McConnell is on board with it, it boxes him in. It puts him in a corner. And no one puts turtle in a corner. Because you know what Mitch McConnell will say? I never said anything about supporting a bill. I never said anything about supporting a bill. Oh, they want to give me a viable bill, I'll look at it. But a spokesperson for Mitch McConnell denies that he supports this. Fun times, right? So Democrats have not yet voted on this $2 trillion package. And now it looks like this $1.62 trillion proposal from the White House. Look, they're going back and forth. They keep spending an hour on the phone, Stephen Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi. I think this is a starting point. We're at 2 trillion. We're not that far apart anymore. 2.2 trillion, 1.6. Are we going to wind up at 1.8 or is this going to be it? Here was Secretary Mnuchin yesterday talking about these latest negotiations and where things currently stand.
Through no fault of their own. Will we see another financial package to aid them before Election Day?
Well, the president and I are working hard on a bipartisan proposal. I spoke to Speaker Pelosi several times over the weekend. We had a conversation for about an hour yesterday, going through different aspects of it. And I expect I will come back with her later this afternoon and we'll deliver a response. So I think we'll have a very reasonable response, something that's very similar to what has been the bipartisan proposal that the Problem Solvers has worked on. And I hope we can get something done because, as you said, there are clearly still businesses out there, small businesses that are impacted. We need more money for kids going to school. We need liability protection for small businesses to open the economy. And we're going to continue to work hard to try to get those results to the American people that are impacted.
I like what Roj says in the chat today. Roj says, he looks like every school teacher you've ever hated. He has the ear of Wall Street. I mean, he's a Wall Street guy. All these guys are. And so the problem I have with any of this, of course, is that they passed already the stimulus plan that they wanted for big businesses in the CARES Act. Nothing for state and local governments. Nothing for the little guy. All of it right for Wall Street. Government bailout for Wall Street. But I got to tell you, the stock market at this hour is up because of these stimulus negotiations, because of this floating by the White House of this $1.6 trillion package, and because Congress last night delayed the vote on their symbolic $2.2 trillion plan. We could actually see a stimulus plan, and that's why Wall Street was so excited about it. So go ahead and smash that like button if that's good news for you. I'm excited about it because I think this could help so many people if they can push this through. Again, I believe we need universal basic income until we get out of this. So I don't think a one-time check of $1,200 is enough at all, especially when so many people are facing, eviction. One thing I'm disheartened about in this, though, is also that there is no, I don't see anything in here for rental assistance. So will Democrats push back on that? Any sort of rental assistance, please, for people that are going to be thrown out and evicted, having to live in homeless shelters right now? Through no fault of their own, they're kicked out of their house because of this pandemic. President Trump has said, look, he signed that executive order on eviction moratorium, so he's publicly talked about it. Why wouldn't that be in here, by the way? If this is coming from the White House, this $1.6 trillion package, why wouldn't President Trump put an eviction moratorium in here as well as rental assistance so people can get caught up on their payments? It's not enough to just have an eviction moratorium, because that's just kicking the can down the street. Let me know what you think about this $1.6 trillion package. And we hopefully might see some further details on this today, and we might actually see a bill, perhaps even before the end of the week. Question is whether or not it'll pass and go over to the Senate. where Mitch McConnell will sit on it like a turtle. It's the very latest on the stimulus.